Welcome to all. Today, let us see another part of this topic, chapter number 7, viral diseases. Before going to see, we must understand what is virus. You know, viruses are generally called it as biological buzils. Why it is called like that? Because virus normally obligate parasites only increase number within the living cells alone, so that viruses are generally termed as obligate parasites. In this chapter, now we are going to see some of the viral diseases. Look at the picture. You see the virus is the chikungunya virus, normally transmitted by some of the insects, vectors. One who bites the infected persons, automatically the virus transmitted to the saliva of the insects. Again, bite another healthy persons, it transmitted the virus. The persons they are having the disease chikungunya with some other symptoms. Okay, so let us see some other diseases. This is a virus. Some viruses. You look at the picture. Normally, viruses are basically having two structure. One is nucleic acids. Another one is call it as capsids. Here, this is the rabies virus. So the presence of nucleic acids, then one capsid is present around the nucleic acid. So the capsid generally made up of lipoprotein layers. Nucleic acids means either DNA or RNA. Viruses are always having RNA. Some of the DNA virus also present. Okay. Here is the another diagrammatic representations. So this is pox virus, normally chickenpox virus. Here the chickenpox virus. Here the capsid is present. Around the capsids, inside the capsids, nucleic acids, either DNA or RNA molecules are present. So these are the some of the viruses are present. So normally viruses are obligate parasites because they are not having protein machineries to synthesize its structure, so that the parasites enter into the living cells, utilize the host protein factories for their growth, for their multiplications, for their replications. So viruses are always known as obligate parasites. Okay. So let us see some of the types based on the symptoms produced by body organs. According to some of the symptoms, where the symptoms appear, we can classify it into the viral diseases in four categories. One is called viscerotrophic diseases. Viscerotrophic means visceral organs. Visceral organs means blood and some of the organs which is internally present. So that is called visceral organs. Viscerotrophic means which affects the visceral organ as well as blood. So say for example, yellow fever and dengue fever. Dengue fever, then yellow fever also, okay. Then neurotrophic means what? The virus getting affects the central nervous system. Example, rabies and polio. Rabies, rhabdovirus, which affects the central nervous system. Poliomyelitis is the virus which causes the polio. So that type of viruses are called the neurotrophic. Neuro means what? Nerve is neurotrophic. Then some of the viruses are affect the lungs, pneumotrophic. Hmm? Say for example, influenza. Nowadays, the corona also pneumotrophic in disease because which affects generally affects the lungs, completely block the lungs. So corona also pneumotrophic diseases. Okay, good. Then thermotrophic means what? Which affects the skin and subcutaneous diseases. Actually, subcutaneous means what? Beneath the skin. Cutaneous, under the cutaneous is called cutaneous. Cutaneous is nothing but skin. Below the skin, that is called subcutaneous tissues. Subcutaneous tissues, example chickenpox, measles are the example for subcutaneous tissues. Okay, so there are four type of diseases: viscerotrophic diseases, neurotrophic diseases, pneumotrophic diseases, and thermotrophic diseases based on the symptoms produced on the body parts. Okay, so next let us see some of the tabulations. The tabulations has the disease name, then some of the causative agents, then in where getting infected, then how the transmission is occurred, then what are the symptoms occurred. Okay, so here look at the diagram, look at the picture. This is the rhinovirus, which cause the common cold virus. Normally persons getting affected with the cold, common cold virus, this is called a common cold virus. This is the rhinovirus. Rhinovirus, why it is called a rhinovirus? The protein molecules are looks like a horn in the rhinoceros, you know the rhinoceros, so this is called the rhinovirus. Okay, let us see one by one. The first we are going to see the chicken pox. The virus name varicella. Normally pox is a group of virus, belongs to different families: variola, varicella, rubella. So there are different families are present in the box virus. So the chicken box, you see, look at the diagram. You see there's some red spot present on the body. Okay, some blisters. Okay, so generally the mode of transmissions by contact with another person. Incubation period is 12 to 20 days. Normally, incubation is nothing but one virus enter into the body, it replicates many. That is called incubation period. Normally, coronavirus in our body enters, it occupies 14 days to incubates. Okay, incubation for the coronavirus is the 14 days. After 14 days, the symptoms getting vigorously for the coronavirus. Like that, the chickenpox incubation period is 12 to 20 days. So, what are the symptoms? Fever, headache, loss of appetite, etc. Okay, this is the in chickenpox. So then another pox virus is measles. Measles, the pathogen rubella. Okay, rubella virus. Transmissions by air. The incubation period is 3 to 5 days. Okay, so these are the symptoms. Normally, common cold is occurred. Some patches are present. Rashes. The body completely present the rashes. Rashes are present. Okay. Yes. So next we see poliomyelitis virus. The polio virus is the dangerous virus because the normally which affects the children's earlier stage. This is call it as neurotrophic virus because which affects the central nervous system and affects the actually muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy. The muscles are not developed, well developed, nerves are not developed. So the persons or children's going to be paralyzed. Okay, so infantile paralysis is occur. Infantile paralysis is occur due to the damages of brain, nerves, and muscles. Okay, so how to prevent this? By using the polio vaccine or oral drop can be administered for poliomyelitis. Yes, okay. So next see the hepatitis. Hepatitis, the jaundice. Uh, Normally, the variety of viruses are present in the hepatitis A, hepatitis B. So normally the hepatitis B virus which cause the disease called jaundice. So normally the incubation period 15 to 160 days incubation period. So normally the transmitted through the contaminated water. So which is through the contaminated water. What are the symptoms? Odiac, loss of appetite, nausea, yellowish eye, and then enlarged liver. So that is called hepatomegaly. Hepatomegaly means enlarged liver. The splenomegaly means uh, enlarged spleen. Yes, splenomegaly. So to prevent this, administered by uh, hepatitis B vaccine. Hepatitis B vaccine is administered. You see the structural differences. This is the normal part. This is the jaundice. Yellow is in color. Yellow is color. Yellowing of eyes or the yellowing of skin are the symptoms for the jaundice. Jaundice is a dangerous disease because it completely affects the liver. Okay. Yes. So next see the tengu fever. The tengu caused by the virus. So normally the tengu fever, tengu virus classified into two types: tengu fever and tengu hemorrhagic fever. Hemorrhagic means what? Blood clotting. Normally the blood clotting is called it as hemorrhagic and hemorrhagic. Okay. So due to how the dengue spread due to the Aedes mosquito. Hmm? The Aedes mosquito transfer the viruses, you know. So now the rainy seasons, you should aware of the dengue virus because everywhere the rainwater, the pure water stumped or stored. So only the mosquito larva grow in the pure water. So it transmit the viruses. Okay, you see the some of the spots, white spots are present in the abdominal regions. So this is the distinguished mark for the dengue Aedes mosquito. Okay, okay. So which reduce the human blood platelets count. So when you are seeing the platelets count going to be reduced. Definitely, the symptoms for the dengue fever, which is very dangerous disease. Okay, yes. So next we see the one zoonotic viruses. Normally the Nipah virus identified in Kerala through transmitted through the pat. Yes, to the animals to the pat, animals to the human. Animals is a pat. So normally asymptomatic infections. Actually, acute respiratory illness, fatal encephalitis. Encephalitis means what? Which affects the brain. Encephalo means brain, which affects the central nervous system, especially brain. That is called encephalitis. Okay, this is the Nipah virus, also dangerous virus. Okay, yes. So up to this, we are discussing some of the viruses and their symptoms, some preventions method. So next, see protozoan diseases and some of the helminthic diseases in next class. Now let us ask some questions to you. You are going to answer for the questions. Okay. Yes. Question number one. Uh, what are the symptoms for the chikungunya? What are the symptoms for the chikungunya? Next, how will you classify viral diseases based on the symptoms? How will you classify viral diseases based on the symptoms? Then third question, what is jaundice? What is jaundice? What is jaundice? Okay, see you next class.